Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is RBG and today we are back with the ZFS Championship. We're into round 3, the third round of 4, and today we're at Mount Panorama. We're going to be bringing you 2 races today, a shorter 15-minute sprint and a bit of a longer 15-lap endurance, so it should be roughly half an hour, that endurance race. As you can see from the conditions there, should be in fine weather for the first race, and race 2 looks like it's going to be taking place at night time. Unfortunately, as we weren't able to live stream this one, we're not able to bring you the qualifying or anything like that, as we're using the good old GT Sport replay system to bring you this race back. So we'll be having a look through that, but that's how we're looking up for today. The compounds you can see were allowed on the bottom left hand side, so the guys are allowed to use the softs or the super softs. And it should be an interesting race, but before we get into the races, let's have a look at the season as it is at the moment. You can see Websons is leading out the top. And then we've got Rabbit and Stefan in joint 2nd place. Then we've got Kenobi in 4th. Then we've got Bart's and Dawes in joint 5th place. Then we've got Ash and DJ in joint 7th. Edinburgh and Legion in joint 9th. Then we've got Steedy in 11th. Math 12th. Assassin in 13th. Draco and Red Vizine joint 14th. And then LGBT Baron in 16th position. So looks pretty condensed up there at the top 3. Certainly going to have a bit of a scrap out there for the first place. And this is... the standards we're seeing here are the halfway point in the season, so still a lot of racing to go still, but certainly it's going to be hard to get yourself into that top 3 group if you're looking inside the top 6, but certainly could a change because there are still a lot of races up for grabs. In terms of those like P4, 5 and 6 as well, Kenobi, Bart's and Dawes got a good scrap on there for coming up in 4th, or even, as I said, push them into podium. So yeah, still a lot of racing to play for, and it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. We're going to quickly flip over to the qualifying results. As I said, weren't able to bring you the qualifying because we wanted to do this live, but the qualifying out from the session was Legion got top, then it was Zeno, then Stefan, then Rabid, then Ash, then Kenobi, then Bart's and Websons, then Edinburgh Lad, then DJ, then Dawes, then Math, then Steedy, then Assassin Sablaza. And that's how the qualifying looked out. So we're going to trip over to the first race, race 1, which was our 15-minute sprint race. So we'll flip over to that now and see how that all cracked on. So we're just starting off here, waiting for those engines booting up, and we're off now. Legion and Zeno leading out at the top. Looks like Zeno got a little bit of an edge, and he's going to be... Legion was just on board with at the moment, not able to cover his P1, but still plenty there. Looks like they got away to a really good start. You can see everyone else all bunched up into their little groups. Going to have a lot going on here. We'll try and keep on board with what we can. We're on board with Websons, Edinburgh Lad and Ash going 3 wide into turn 1, so it's going to be quite hairy going through here, but we'll keep an eye on it and see if the guys get through cleanly. Nice and clean racing through there, but Dawes looks like he just tried to give a little bit too much on the inside, has lost it. Looks like Assassin as well, give a little bit of right side smashing over into the wall there, so definitely need to clean that up. Gonna go back up to the top, still Legion and Zeno leading out the top with Kenobi not too far behind. Then we've got Stefan in 4th, Rabid in 5th, Ash in 6th, Bart's in 7th and Websons in 8th. So flying start to this race. Obviously that grid start, nice tight pack. Everyone's got to work through. Interesting race to see who's going to top out between Legion and Zeno here, so try and keep on top of this race as it unfolds here. Looks like Legion's in the Corvette and Zeno I think has gone with the Lexus, so interesting in terms of how those 2 cars will be able to mix it up. Bart's also going for the Corvette, on board with here. Let's jump on board on this bonnet cam, see if we can catch a little bit more what's going on. So he's currently sat behind Ash, and it looks like the cars are really starting to spread their way out across the grid now. A little bit of a tight pack coming out the exit here, bit of a scrap going in for P10 on board with DJ at the moment, who's a little bit off this little pack in front. Gonna bunch up to Steedy, watch these guys go through and see who comes out on top here. Dawes we saw had that slip before, so it looks like Steedy's got a lot of pace on him here. He's just sat himself back, probably just want to make a move too eagerly on that one. It's just going to wait and see how that unfolds, but it looks like they're clean through there. Jump up a little bit on here in 8th position on Websons. Looks like got a tight pack here. Looks like Ash drawn himself a little bit out there. We'll jump up. Looks like Rabid's going to move on the inside. It looks like he's got that move done nicely there. Hard corner. Looks like Ash is unfortunately lost it a little bit there, but it looks like he's still able to hold it, and very fortunately hasn't spun the car. Looks like Legion has got past Zeno. Unfortunately we missed that one, but Legion now topping out this race in P1. So again, the impetus is now on Zeno to try and grind that back on Legion, see if he can get himself back in front all this race. And on board with Kenobi, who's got Stefan not far behind him. Close race here for P3 as well. Kind of feel like Legion and Zeno are probably going to hold out on this race and have a good scrap at the top, and it's really going to be a scrap for the rest of the guys for P3. Little jump on board with Stefan, trying to follow Kenobi. Can be very hard to get past. And Kenobi likes to make his car very wide and makes it very difficult to overtake. All very clean, but you know, very defensive driver. Going through the downhill section now at Bathurst. Outside of any mistakes, not a real opportunity to overtake. The only main opportunity to overtake is kind of down into this straight here in the back third and front third of the race, but certainly not in the downhill section. We'll jump back a little bit, see what's going on just behind. Looks like cars are nice and spread out now. Bart's still trying to chase down Rabid after he made that move on a couple of turns ago. Got Webster's back here in 8th. Dorsey and Math. Looks like we've had another slip, because it looks like we've had a guy fall back, probably Assassin Sablaza, coming back down in 12th, because I believe the other guys were fighting for P9. So looks like Assassin's now trying to actually get alongside Steedy going into his final corner. And it looks like there's a bit on paper. It looks like we had a slip there as well. I think that was Edinburgh Lad from what I could see, or maybe Math. Yeah, Math looks like he had a bit of unfortunate one there. Found himself at the back of the race. Let's skip forward, back on with Bart's and Rabid. Still no change here, but still very compact, and really Rabid's got to keep on his toes or else he's going to be losing his P5. Stefan and Kenobi scrapping still up here, really close stuff. Looks like Kenobi's currently on the inside at Stefan, gives him a little bit of a kiss there. Bit of side on side racing, and ultimately comes out on top. Stefan still feel like this race isn't over between these two, as Stefan makes a move there and gets back in front of Kenobi. So great move there. Looks like Kenobi must have made a mistake going through part of that turn. And we'll just skip over now and have a look. Still Rabid and Bart's relatively close with Ash breathing down their neck, so he's certainly not out of this race either. DJ in this little mix here. Pack of 4 scrapping out for P10 with Assassin leading the way. Looks like Steedy caught a little bit of a wall at the back there, so he kind of falls off a little bit. Assassin kissing a little bit more of the wall, giving DJ a real big chance to sit up on him now. Is he going to get the move done? Looks like Assassin's really struggling with his car, or maybe that might be a connection issue. I know, as you can see, he's out in Spain. Looks like DJ gave a little bit of a tap there coming through, but it is quite tricky to judge when you've got someone who's not got the greatest connection. But it looks like a great little scrap unfolding there. But let's try and keep abreast of some of the other action that's going across. It looks like Rabid's managed to develop a little bit of an advantage over Bart since we've last checked in. So these are really starting to spread out and find their positions on track. Up top, still a really close race at the very top. Legion still sitting out in front, but it looks like Zeno's just parking off in front, behind him. I don't know if he's just going to sit and quite happily park off and wait for the last lap or two before he makes his move. Looks like Bart's now has actually got a little bit back off from Rabid. Rabid must have had a bad turn through there. Rabid's got on the inside line, and Bart's has got the overtake bump before, and has got through really nice there. It looks like Rabid's going to possibly have a bite back, because he has got, looks like he's got the exit speed. Well, it felt like he had the exit speed, but Bart's in that old Corvette. Can be quite hard to catch up to on the straights. So Rabid with a bit of work if he's going to get back his P5. Back with Stefan and Kenobi. Looks like Stefan now has managed to gain himself a little bit of advantage up on Kenobi, so certainly not over between those two in the race, but certainly looking a little bit more comfortable for Stefan now. Going back to the back, we've got Steedy and Math at the back here. Math just leading the way slightly, not too far away from DJ and Edinburgh Lad at the top. Unfortunately, the replay system in GT Sport, I assume for size reasons and storage limitations, it don't store any of the time differences, so we kind of have to eyeball it when we're doing it from replays. Guys, looks like Edinburgh Lad got past both DJ and Assassin Sablaza there, who must have just took that turn really coolly, or got themselves a little bit caught up. DJ catching a little bit of the wall. Looks like Edinburgh lad is now, looks like he's kind of secured himself that P10. Dorsey sitting up in P9, nice comfortable capturing him in P10, so he's got nothing to worry about there. You can even probably have a slip and he's still relatively sits pretty comfortable, but he's got a little bit of work if he's going to get up on Websons and the rest of the guys here. Websons himself again finding himself in a little bit of a gap. You can see him, distance between him and Ash, going to take a bit of work for him to grind that back if he's going to get any higher up in this race. We've got Bart's, Rabid still scrapping out here with Ash, still not far behind. So really we're now seeing the main battles unfold, certainly at the back. This battle here for P5 and the battle for P3 and the battle for P1. So we've got loads of pairing up going on here. Stefan seems to have lost a little bit of ground to Kenobi, so that one could be grinding back. And again, Legion looks like it's actually made a little bit of ground on Zeno, but certainly not enough that it's not within breathing distance, certainly. So, good fun entertaining race so far, as we're about 8.5 minutes of the way through now. So obviously a 15-minute endurance race. Well, I suppose it's called an endurance race in the game settings itself. We really think of it more as a sprint race. So it's a 15-minute sprint race. So no fuel or tyres or anything to worry about. Just drive the car as fast as you can, get the best result you can. And this also sets the grid order for the next race, which is an endurance race. So fuel and tyres to consider going into the next round. And it'll be interesting to see what the drivers can come up with the fact there's strategy involved, and sometimes the fuel, sometimes the tyre really holds back some of our pad drivers, which we do have a few pad drivers out there. So it'll be interesting to see how once you're throwing those factors in there, how that then goes and impacts the results. As Bart still has Rabid within a whisker of him, but still not really making any moves at the moment, still not enough to make a move anyway. That Corvette can be tricky to catch up with, especially as I said on the straights. Back with the race for P12. Looks like actually Edinburgh lad and DJ are also having a nice little engagement over P10 as well, a disagreement between them and each other. So it looks like DJ literally just got the move done up on Edinburgh. Don't know if that was a slip from Edinburgh or whether or not D's got the move done. It's great to see how this one will unfold. Two very fast drivers looking like they're even with these guys I could expect to see a bit higher up as well, probably either not a preferred track or had a couple of bad little knocks and bumps for the race. See their car's not in the greatest condition. But two guys who could actually easily see in the top half of this race. So back on board with the Stefan Kenobi battle. Doesn't look like there's been massive changes since, with Stefan having a nice comfortable gap in front of Kenobi and keeping that gap maintained. Bart's and Rabid's looks like it's developed a little bit more. Looks like Bart's has managed to pull away a little bit from Rabid. So really the impetus is now Rabid to really try and find that little bit of pace, whether he tries to try and push himself and get that little bit of pace to grind that back on Bart's, or whether he's hoping for a mistake, or whether he's happy with his P6 just to see out the race from here and do his comfortable times and see off Ash, who's maintained a comfortable gap in P7. So Dorsey, who we haven't been able to see much of this race, unfortunately, he's caught himself in a little bit of no man's land, not much going on for him. Looks like a comfortable P9. Looks like he's grinded back a little bit on Webson since we last been on board with him, but not really much to see here, unfortunately. Bold choice in the Alpha as well. And we've got Assassin Sablaza in 12, and I'm just going to skip forward if we're going to Assassins just to check out how we're doing with Edinburgh lad. And DJ, looks like DJ's managed to pull himself in front a little bit. See him hopefully hold on to P10. I'm sure that's what he's hoping anyway. I'm sure Edinburgh lad has other ideas as we go through. And it looks like these guys at the back have really started to spread out now, and really looks like our kind of main battles at the moment is still the battle for P1, which Zeno hasn't given up the ghost yet. He is still within a whisker's breadth of Legion, hoping for a mistake to capitalise on, or whether or not he's just biding his time for, we're looking like we're probably going to have about 2 more laps left of this race as they go over the line. So certainly want to be trying to grind that little gap he's got and trying to be making his moves a bit sooner rather than later. Looks like Bart's has actually pulled himself up to Kenobi. Don't know if Kenobi's had a slip there, unfortunately, but now we've got another battle, and it looks like he's caught a little bit of the grass there, would have lost a little bit of grip. Let's go on board with Bart's and see if he's got enough about him now to get past Kenobi. Kenobi will be hurting from this one, especially looking relatively comfortable in that P4, fighting for P3 before if he comes out worse off in this situation, as he holds his outside line really well. Might have caught the wall a little bit there, and they're still side by side. Really tricky part of the track to go side by side through. Kenobi giving Bart's a little kiss there into the wall, and another little kiss. And, it is a difficult track. Hopefully see a little bit cleaner driving when we go up into wider tracks, and it can be challenging when you're going too wide. But yeah, we need to hopefully see the guys not coming together so much through those kind of areas, close driving. But fortunate for Rabbit, the seeker of opportunities, given him a chance to now pull up that gap. So now we've almost got a pack of 3 again here, with Ash still not far off it there. Did catch a little bit of the wall, forced him to grind down a little bit with a pen, but it probably would have cost him a little bit of time. Looks like we're bunched up a little bit again at the back. DJ must have had a slip there. It's really sad to see, but he's trying to push himself back onto Maf. Now we probably feel like he's got the pace to grind back on Maf, and a lap and a half left is a bit of an ask for him to come back on that, but you don't know until you try and do it. Assassin, it looks like every time we come to him he's really been struggling with this track. As I said, it is a challenging track, especially this downhill sectional here, which involves a lot of brake and throttle control to make sure you're getting through correctly. So it looks like now Zeno and Legion are coming round to what would be the last lap of their race, lap 8. It looks like Zeno's really trying to make the move now on Legion as he looks on the outside, seeing if he can get the exit speed going uphill into the mountain. Is he going to make a move, which I think Legion's going to hold it there. Looks like he has. Let's quickly jump back to this little scrap here. Bart's has actually managed to hold his position above Kenobi. Kenobi still not looking like he's given that one up. Rabbit's slipped off a little bit from them. Still looking very comfortable in his P6 there. Webson's again in his own area, very comfortable P8. Don't see that changing. Dorsey likewise in P9, and I think Edinburgh Lad's in a similar situation in P10. Nice comfortable gap either side, so those kind of positions outside of slips or anything pretty secure. Assassin in 11. They just come over the line now and finish their race, so Assassin's confirmed 11th. SteeD's coming in 13th, and looks like DJ's going to come across and confirm 14th place. And everyone else is out on their last lap at the minute, as Legion and Zeno just finish off the downhill section. And we'll try and keep as close to some of these races as we can, because there's a good race going on here between Bart's and Kenobi. Bart's really wanting that P4 back. Sorry, Kenobi really wanting that P4 back. I can't see Bart's wanting to give him to him that willingly. Zeno and Legion now coming through. The final couple of turns will stay on board of these two as they go in side by side. Legion taking that inside, Zeno taking it outside, and looks like Zeno's got himself right. Doesn't look like there's much room there, and it looks like traded back, returning onto the track. So really quite scrappy stuff going through these last couple of turns, and it looks like Legion's going to have this inside line, and he thinks he's going to... Yeah, Zeno's lost the back of his car, unfortunately scrapes across the wall, and it sees Legion win this race, which was a bit scrappy going through that. Not really, again, it's a quite hard track to go alongside people, and it can be tricky to make overtakes stick, but we'd hope to see the guys do a bit better than that. I think Legion definitely could have afforded a little bit more room on that last, but obviously after holding P1 for that long, wanted to bring this race off. But let's see these guys through. Now as Webson's confirms his P8, and we've got Dorsey coming now for P9, and Edinburgh Lad will come over and confirm his P10 as he comes down now to the final corner, as Dorsey's just coming over the line for us. Before that flicks over, let's go and have a look at the results. So we have Legion confirming first place, Zeno in second, Stefan in third, Kenobi in fourth, Rabbit in fifth, Bart's in sixth, Ash in seventh, Webson's eighth, Dorsey come 9th, Edinburgh Lad come 10th, Assassin come 11th, Math 12th, Steedy 13th, and DJ come in 14th place. So what does that do to the standings after the first race of this round? Well, it moves Stefan up into first place, so he's clear by 2 points at the top behind Rabin now. Webson's still in with a shout, only 3 points away from the top, so we're still really tight there at the top. Kenobi pushing out a little bit more in 4th place now, so he's really trying to hold on to that place, and hopefully if he does well in the endurance race, he can really maybe try and push up to these guys at the top 3 if he can make a good impression on this one. And you can see, you know, a lot of mixing up between the pack. You can see Legion and Zeno, who unfortunately weren't able to race us from the start of the season. That's why, you know, I'd expect if they had been here from round 1, would be seeing them topping out position 1 and 2. But as they only started out midway through the season, it's certainly going to be a scrap between these guys at the 3 and possibly Kenobi with a bit of a outsidey, dark horsey kind of shout to possibly come in and cause a bit of an upset. But we will get round to the endurance race now. So this is going to be a 15-lap race. So approximately, we're looking at approximately half an hour for this race. This one's going to have times 7 fuel and times 7 on the tyres. So it's going to be a bit of strategy involved, and obviously it's going to be a nighttime race as well, so it'll be interesting to see how that factors in as we go into it. But we'll flip it over to the gameplay now, as we're about to clip over to the start of this race, and we'll just start off on the top. It can be quite tricky to keep an eye on these races in replay mode, but we'll try and see what we can do, especially the first couple of corners. We'll probably drop back to somewhere about P10 or so and have a look over the grid in that view. Let it get away. Can be quite hard to see. Looks like got a little tap from the back there. Dorsey giving a few flashes. As you can see, you look quite a bit darker now, so the visibility is down for the guys as they come through now, but it looks like they got through. Actually, Dorsey himself climbed himself up a couple of places through that. Websons and Rabbits, as you can see, side by side. Coming up in front, as we hop in front, we can see Bart's just sat behind Kenobi with Stefan in front of him. And again, as you'd expect, Legion and Zeno topping out the front. We'll go back into cinematic view. Watch these guys go round. As we come on through now. People just trying to cement their position. Number one thing I try and say is you can't win a race in the first lap, so just try and stay in position. Even if you drop a position or two, there's plenty of race to grind some time back. It doesn't look like we've had any major shakes up at the moment. We've had Rabid drop a position to Websons throughout this. Assassin the Blazer managed to grab himself up a few places. Ash had a bit of a drop off now, finds himself off in P10. Edinburgh Lad down in P11 at the moment, and the back of the race being fulfilled by Mastidi and DJ, who hopefully can pull himself off a few places from where they were last match. Looks like we've had a bit of a crash there. Edinburgh Lad catching, you heard that there, catching a little bit of the wall on himself. Took a while to get himself reacclimatised, and now sees Math climbing up a position on that one. Different tyre choices going to be playing a factor here. I believe the choices, as we said at the start, between super soft and soft. So you can see Stefan at the minute out on softs, actually get Bart's coming past him, so Stefan's had a bit of a slip away. Zeno as well, not having the best race of his life. Looks like he slipped down to third place with Kenobi moving up in front of him. As we know, Kenobi can be quite hard on overtakers. Actually, I go and say that, and he goes and makes a mistake, and this could be Zeno's chance to get past as Kenobi tries and takes the centre track. Again, just trying to make it hard to get past him. Really got everyone bunched up here. This is really what Legion wants, really. This will work into Legion's hands perfectly to really cement himself up in P1. It looks like Bart's is trying to now get his move done up on Kenobi as he looks up on the inside. Still on board with Zeno at the moment. Let's jump on his bonnet cam so we can watch what's going on. He's going in front. Looks like Bart's tried to took the inside line there but couldn't quite hold it. And they're now going side by side. Stefan looks like he's got a bit of pace up on Zeno, so he's going to be coming down the outside as they all come through now. A little bit of side-on-side contact between these two. Again, it is a challenging course to go through a side-by-side on. Just like he was willing to concede P4, not dropping themselves further back. As Bart's now is cemented himself into P2 as well. So a real mix-up here, and Zeno will probably be quite surprised to see himself caught back. All these positions going to have a little bit of work, and really, like I said, plays into Legion's favour. Looks like we've had another spin at the back there. Ash Obviously can't be sure what happened with that one, but again, unfortunate to see him drop off, as he had a pretty consistent race one. And still really most interesting race going on in this little midsection here. Looks like Zeno with a fortunate one there. Again, unfortunately we didn't quite catch that one. Could have just been a bit of a knock, but he's certainly having a challenging race, so he's gonna be trying to work himself certainly into the back half. Math looks like the conditions out there are a bit harder than the last race. Seeing a lot more spinning, a lot more, you know, bits of contact happening and stuff like that, which obviously making it night can make the visibility a bit harder and make it a bit harder to judge those distances, especially when you come out this just from literally just playing it in the light. Stefan and Kenobi embroidered the fight there. Stefan actually getting the move done up on Kenobi, and has got now time to try and work on Bart's. In terms of fuel, this is what we'll start looking at now. Bart's is burning through a lot more fuel than what Stefan has at the moment. Stefan in the Porsche, Bart's in that Corvette that loves to drink the fuel. So it'll be interesting to see if strategies start coming into play on this one. And we're just going to jump ourselves up. Should hopefully trying to test everyone in both their fuel and tyres this week. Kind of last week was very much a test of people's ability to manage their tyres. First week was very much a test of the fuel, and this one's a bit of both, to try and really test the drivers and see what their all-round ability is across a season, rather than sort of just setting a one-off kind of aspect of someone's season someone's driving over and over again. It looks like these guys are really found their positions now across track. We do have some close racing going on round about here. We've got Ash and Steedy not too far away from each other. Zeno probably pulling himself up at the back. He's got a lot of work to do to measure and work his way through DJ Edinburgh, and possibly even Rabbit as well, if he can find that pace to really start pulling back. But it is a big ask. But it is as we say, a longer race. Strategy might come into play as well to really shuffle up this pack. I think Legion's feeling pretty comfortable with himself up in first position, so really it's a case of making sure he's got his strat light. You can see fuel wise he's holding himself all right, a bit ahead of those top three in fuel there, and a little bit behind these other guys just behind. Stefan really doing well on the fuel. You can see there he's just got himself a fifth of tank over everyone else, so I don't know whether that's aspect of a bit of the Porsche just being a little bit better with fuel, or whether or not it's just the way he's driving it. But should hopefully see Stefan in a strong position to come through as again in a battle with Kenobi. Kenobi must have worked his way back through in front of him, and now he's got to find his way through again. As we now come through, ending up lap 3 of the 15 lap race. We are just going to jump back now. We've got Webstons and Doors not too far away. Webstons and Rabbit, beg your pardon, not too far away each other. Both in the Lexus, so evenly matched each other. So a little bit of a battle happening here between the two drivers. We'll jump on bonnet cam with I was about to say a Rabsons, which is like if Webstons and Rabbit had a baby, some weird ugly baby. And going to be again coming into the hard bit of the track to get a move done outside of huge mistakes. And it looks like they're actually trying to grind back on Doors as well. I can feel that edge between Webstons and Doors starting to reduce. As actually Webstons makes a big mistake there, gets himself caught on the wall, and that's when Rabbit sees the opportunity and gets himself in front now. So now he's moved himself up a position. Let's jump ourselves to another part of the race. Assassin Zablaza with Math not too far behind him, looking like it's going to be a big ask for him to catch up a few places, especially with where he's at the minute, 30th with a bit of gap in front of him. But we have seen in this race already a few spins, so it's certainly not a no hope situation for him completely. You got Ash in 11th, a bit of a gap for him again to grind back, but he has got good pace on him, and he might be able to pull back and maybe claw himself a position or two. Steedy, very much in no man's land. He's very much got a massive gap either side of him, so really impetus on him trying to hold this place, or if not, again, hoping that one of these guys at the front will slip out or sort of do very poorly on the strategy. Fuel-wise, looking very good though, looking very good on the fuel. Like if you compare that to someone like Kenobi, who's just under quarter of a tank left. Worn through his tyres quite a lot, and is I think he's going to struggle to try and keep up with some of these boys who are kicking around 4th, 5th and 6th when the strategies start coming into play. But happy sitting in P2 there, relatively comfortable, but he's got Stefan behind him. Stefan's not slow, so he's going to have to make sure he's putting in the consistent laps. Legion not building up a gap as much as I would have expected him to. Certainly hasn't got Zeno sort of working his way through him. And speaking of Zeno, he's actually managed to work his way up, now got past DJ up into P8. We were with him last when he was in P9, so really just trying to salvage anything he can in this race after what looks like quite a horrendous first couple of laps for him. And we're back on board with Dorsey, with Rabid now really up behind him, and it looks like Webson's has fallen off a little bit, and obviously he's going to be having Zeno coming up to him soon. Again, if I consider my pace, if I was in this race, I'd be looking somewhere around about a P10 or so, somewhere between P10 and 12. If I got Zeno behind me, you know, I know he's got the pace over me. I'm not going to be closing all my doors to him. I'll probably leave the door wide open for him to step through to not slow me down, because, you know, to show a bit of racecraft in the sense of, you know, you've got to pick your battles, pick your fights. Start going on the defensive against someone who's much slower than you. All you serve to do is slow yourself down, and your race isn't with them, because over especially a longer race, you know, you might be able to pull it off if it was a lap or two. So this is going to be an interesting one. Looks like Bart's is on his last lap of fuel. Legion's got a little bit in him. Stefan's got a lot. You look at that, he's done really well on the fuel, but Bart's is really low on fuel, so he's definitely going to have to come in at the end of this lap. And it looks like it's going to have to be a 2-stop unless he's done with some amazing fuel strategy. Looks like he's going to have to be running a 2-stop race, which really is going to be a struggle for him to get back up to the top parts of this race. Stefan comfortably looking like he's going to be able to pull off a 1-stop. Kenobi again on that 2-stop as well, so it's going to be again a challenge for him to get himself up in this race. Dorsey applying the fuel save pretty well, got himself enough there, but it looks like he saved a bit more fuel than the other guys, but again he's going in, looks like he's going for the 2-stop as well. It really affords the other guys a chance to get past. Zeno fuel saved very, very well. You look at that, it's still only just under half a tank. Though really, really well fuel saved there. He's got DJ just behind him, also going for the 1-stop strategy as well. So really, I do worry about those guys running the 2-stop on this race. Ultimately, if you feel more comfortable doing it, then obviously that's you know, that'd be great. But I think you'll struggle to work that time back with the additional pace that you may have by not fuel saving this one. I know some people, we've got a few guys that are on automatics, automatic gears and stuff like that, which obviously people feel more comfortable. You know, it's all good, people driving whatever they feel more comfortable in. But when you do start getting to fuel saving stuff like that, it's hard thing to pull off if you're not on manual, able to short shift and able to control your gearing going through corners and stuff like that. It's a real big part of it. So yeah, very interesting one. Good Dorsey now back in 11th place with Bart's in 10th, so you can see the impact of that. Obviously we do expect the other drivers as well to pit in at some point, so they'll probably find themselves getting back into those positions, but it's going to be that last pit stop that's really going to hurt them. That pit stop they're going to be doing around about lap 10. That these guys, the 2-stoppers, Kenobi, Bart's and Dorsey, probably going to feel it and probably will find themselves in the back. It's certainly you know, not certainly at the back of this race, but certainly in the back half, when they'll individually want to be competing for the top half of the race. So Stefan sitting pretty comfortable in 2nd place, actually got himself a little bit of ground back on Legion. You can see Legion tyre wise is really having a bit of wear at the front, whereas compared to Stefan, I think he's done a bit better protecting those tyres. Maybe again it might be the car that suits it. Porsche might just be a bit better at protecting those tyres. Certainly this could play to Stefan's advantage here if he can make these last couple of laps on these more worn tyres count, because it looks like he's really in. You can even see that just from, you know, unfortunately we don't have the time delta to be able to tell that for sure, but you can kind of see it, you know, as he just keeps reeling and reeling. Looks like Edinburgh lad's gone in here gone at the end of his 6th lap, so I don't know if he's going to try on a long fuel save option. Pretty worn tyres as well, so probably the right choice for him. Or if he's going to have to try and reduce himself down to a 2-stop, which could again see him suffer going through this. Webson's P3, comfortably in his 1-stop zone, so it should be quite nice for him to crack on with this strat. He's got Rabid behind him and Zeno behind him. Zeno now closing, probably going to be trying to close down on Rabid, but he's done himself really well to claw himself back up from this race, considered such a sort of awful start for him. Has done a lot of damage to those tyres though, so would expect to see him coming in very soon. Legion on his 7th lap, probably going to have to, looks like he's having to fuel save a little bit to get himself around, so he's probably going to afford Stefan a chance to really pull up against him coming up to this. So race on here, really didn't expect Stefan to be fighting up the top end, and that's no disrespect to Stefan. He's a very fast driver, very, you know, from what I've seen from the few weeks I've been racing with him, very fast driver. But I've known Legion a long time, very fast driver, and Stefan managed to pull off a result here, I think that's all the more well done to him. It looks like we have a driver parked off at the minute, so it looks like, I think it was Math. He's really struggling with this course and decided it's probably best for him just to leave it, so he parked himself off there. So that's what Math's doing. Anyone wondered when they come checking back in? Steedy in 12th position, got himself a lot of work ready to do Edinburgh. So no, really, if I was in Steedy position, which I have, I'm not going to say I've never been. Looks like Stefan and Legion have both gone as well. Stefan doing a lot better on the fuel there. You can see there, 9% fuel compared to Legion's 1%. So more effective on fuel there. Have less time to come in. It looks like Rabid is going out for one more lap, kept enough fuel in him, as is Zeno as well. So they're both going for the overcut on this one. It's going to be interesting to see if this overcut counts, because they've got a hard lap now to do where the guys are going to be out on fresh, grinding back a bit of time. But as they come out to the last 7 laps of this race, they're going to have the advantage in terms of, you know, always being that 1 lap ahead. Carb probably being a bit lighter as well if they've got the fuel a bit more well managed. So going to be an interesting one to see how this pans out. Stefan looks like he's now got himself in front of Legion. I think the efficiency on the fuel saving would have done him a lot of favours to grind back some more time on him. So, you know, less fuel you got to put in the car, the less time you have to stop. So ultimately, I've seen Stefan look in a very strong position for the remainder of this race. Legion losing a little bit of the rear of the car there, as you saw there in the background, must be really trying to push himself to try and get himself back up to Stefan. Stefan opting again to do another stint on the supers. He's going to have to make these last 8 laps, so they're going to be pretty warm by the end of it. Let's check in on Kenobi. Kenobi, P5, got himself Legion and Stefan in front, so he's really not out of this yet at all. And you know, you never know, a bit of mistake, a bit of a slip up, and he could see himself getting in a really strong position. Unfortunately though, with him being on the 2-stop, again, I'm going to struggle to see him. You know, if he gets into the top half of the race, I think he's done well. I think he's done well on this one if he does. Bart's in 6 again, another one of the 2-stoppers with Dorsey chasing in behind. Let's see what the result of this is, whether Dorsey can get a move done here as he goes round. Looks like he's going to have the outside line going into turn, but it looks like he's got the pace to just get this move done. Bart's getting himself a bit more slip off the back of that Alpha. Is he going to make a return move, or is he just going to sit in behind? Certainly the right thing to do is sit in behind. Getting a little bit more wear at the front tyres than he is the back there, so certainly if it was me, I'd play a little bit with the brake bias to try and even it out a little bit more. Looks like Rabid and Zeno are now gone into pit, and Stefan and Legion come through now, so it'll be interesting to see where these guys come out in the pack, as Rabid is currently getting his fuel up. And you remember we've got Kenobi, Dorsey and everyone coming through now, but remember we've got position 3, 4 and 5, so that's Kenobi, Dorsey and Bart's. They're still going to have to pit again, and I think it's going to be, you know, towards the end of the next lap. Looks like Kenobi's doing a little bit better on fuel on this stint than what he was in the last one. But at the same time, yeah, it's definitely going to have to be a one where they come in for the end of this race. Rabbit and Zeno still relatively close to each other. And you've got Webster still embroiled in that as well. So Zeno done really well here to crawl back some spaces again. If those guys in front go into those pits before the end of this race, sees himself up into P5 at least, which, you know, at the start of this race was not looking very likely at all. We're now just getting into the second half of this race. And we do have some tighter packs here. Now Legion has now got back past Stefan. So Stefan must have had an accident there, or Legion must have found this bit of space and a bit of room to get past. I'm just interested now to follow what happens to these two stoppers and where they come out in the grid when they go in, presumably at the end of lap 10 or 11. As drivers now come round to the end of lap 9. The last couple of corners for Stefan and Legion. Stefan certainly not wanting to go up this coast. He's had a taste of P1, and I'm sure that he wants it back. Again, can't forget about Kenobi as well. Certainly not out of this in terms of the next lap or two, just to cause a bit of hassle and maybe mix up the pack a little bit. And you got Webstons and Rabbit, which I think these guys are in line for a really good finish here by the fact they've, you know, worked on that one-stop strategy and don't really have anyone else really to challenge them in front of them. Stefan and Legion, I think, are pretty shoo-in to get their P1 and P2s. I think they've got themselves such a comfortable lead up there. It's really up to them two now to decide amongst themselves who's going to have that. And really, it's going to be the question mark of who's going to be taking that P3, which, looking at what I'm seeing at the minute, it looks like it's going to be Rabbit, possibly Zeno if he finds that pace that he knows he's got towards the back end of this race. Checking in again at the top, Stefan and Legion not far away each other. Kenobi again, just coming up from behind. I think Kenobi will probably pit at the end of this lap. You can see that fuel tank is getting a bit dire now, but he could possibly do a Legion a favour here if he can get embroiled in a little scrap with Stefan. If I was a Stefan with Kenobi coming up on me like that, I'd just, knowing full well he's on a two-stop, I'd just leave the door wide open to him, let him step through it. So interesting stuff. Let's see where else we've got any other close battles going on. So Dorsey and Bart's is the battle of the two stoppers, I think, here. Be interesting to see again. These guys looking like they're going to have to pit within this lap, or with certainly, if not, definitely the next lap, looking how much fuel they've got. Rabbit looking pretty comfortable in this position at the moment, and it looks like Webstons has drifted off a little bit from the back and has now got Zeno barreling down on him again. Zeno picking up his pens there. He's going to have to try and grind them off before the end of the race. 2.2 seconds is quite a sizable pen. He's also be trying to really push the track limits as he actually makes his move up on Zeno now, gets that very efficiently done. And Webster's now reaping the benefit of his toe. DJ, again, kind of in the no man's land. It's going to be interesting to see these two. Now we've had those two stoppers going in. I'm trying to look at DJ here, and is he going to finish in front of these two stoppers, or is he going to come out just behind them? And that's going to be the interesting one as they go through, as they're all in at the moment. And DJ now coming down. I think the guys behind us, like Ash and Edinburgh Lad, are probably not going to reap the benefit. Unfortunately, I think they've maybe had a knock or a slip or two, which has seen them drop back further enough that they can't make the one stop count, possibly. I mean, we'll have to wait and see where these guys come out. Edinburgh Lad looks like they are starting to come out now, maybe. Maybe might retain their positions. Looks like, yeah, Bart's is now out. P9 actually just gets himself out in front of Ash, but Ash is now going to be involved in this scrap now. But Bart's, Dawes and Kenobi had the added benefit. They are going to have fresh tyres. They're going to not have to worry about any fuel saving for this last 4 laps really, and that's going to be possibly be able to make their way up a little bit, especially Kenobi. He's got DJ in front of him. A bit of ground to make. Looks like about a 3-4 second gap between him and DJ, but like I said, with those differences in the tyres and the differences in the fuel strategies, you might be able to find that one back. Legion and Stefan. Still is a race worth watching, with Stefan still keeping himself within shouting distance. A few laps remaining, looking pretty comfortable with himself on his fuel. Tyre wise, he's actually doing a little bit better on this tyre wear than Legion. Even though he's on a harder compound, he's on the soft tyres really. It's starting to eat for him again. Again, the Corvette we know to be a little bit of a tyre muncher. Now Zeno catch himself out in 4th position. Now this is all sorted himself out. Got himself a nice distance away from Webson's, and I know he's probably got the speed to catch up to Rabbit, but is there enough race to do it? And can Rabbit keep his consistency going, which you can see at those lap times? Sometimes he has had a few slips and stuff. Can he keep the consistency going to hold himself a podium? Which for the season, with Stefan being in possibly a 2nd place, is going to be a big thing for him if he wants to try and still be in with a shout at the end of this season. With him being 2 points behind in the season, if things were to end how they are, you know, we go into the final round with Stefan only with a 3-point lead. Anything more than that, any big deviations from that, we're going to be seeing some changes. You know, if Stefan grabs himself 1st position or Rabbit drops off a little bit, it's going to be Stefan going into the final round in a much stronger place. So a bit of bunching up at the back, like I said, with these 2 stoppers coming into the mix. Ash will probably be thinking, can I do something here? Can I? Again, he's on slightly worn tyres and he's got his fuel saving to consider, but you know, I'd be looking at this as an opportunity to see if I can possibly capitalise on a mistake, someone having a slip or something like that, especially we've got some new boys sitting in front of him. But they are looking pretty consistent. Steedy at the back. Again, I was going to say before when I was talking about this, and I got distracted by it. If I was Steedy in this position, who looks like he's worked himself way up a little bit, he's got obviously people coming past and being lapped, never a nice feeling. But ultimately, everyone's at their own pace, and we've all been here. And for me, I'd now be just trying to race against myself. I mean, you can see, good thing you can see about Steedy here is he can hit a rhythm, can hit a consistency. You see those 2:14s on lap 4, 6, 7, 8. There's a consistency there to be found, and I think once you get that consistency, your race performance comes on much better. It's those 2:17s and the 2:52. I assume they might be hit laps or stuff like that, but it's laps like that go on to hurt you really in a race. So Legion and Stefan still transpiring as we have 3 more laps remaining of this race. Again, Rabbit looking still relatively comfortable to hold on to this P3 if he can, but he's still got Zeno not far off behind him, and certainly with the pace to be able to keep grinding on him. And it's just now, like I said, Rabbit a case keeping his head down, concentrating on what he's doing and not so much what the time difference is between him and Zeno. That's what we're here to do. DJ probably feeling the pressure from Kenobi now. Kenobi's definitely ground back a lot of space. I'll be looking at this as DJ going, I'm going to struggle to keep this position, but as soon as I'm not really hoping to catch up to Webson, so my priority here is when Kenobi comes up, I'm going on the most defensive lines I can find. Make your car really wide and make it hard for him to get past you. I only hope you've got a holding on P6. Either that, you just resign yourself to P7, or if Dorsey picks it up as well in the same respect, you know, dropping possibly down to P8. So still got a race at the top here, Stefan and Legion. Legion's held it for a relatively long time, but there was a period of time where Stefan was sitting up there, so still has the potential to be mixed up. But we could be looking at a Legion double win here. Is this Stefan's chance? And he's actually gone for the move there. Again, Legion not affording a huge amount of room. Again, I do appreciate it's a harder track to give people room. And it looks like they're going to be coming in to this thing with Stefan having that inside line, but Legion grabbing that little bit of pace on the second half of that open bit of throttle time. As we come down now to the final turn and looking at what will now be the last 2 laps, as Stefan's not giving up this fight at all. Definitely going to be trying to look and see if he can find a way through. Zeno is now actually pushed up well beyond Rabbit, and Rabbit looks like he's had a spin, had a little of a nasty one there. He's actually gone back all the way into 7th place. So that's really unfortunate to see, because it looked like he was pretty, you know, we still had the question mark of Zeno grinding back on him a little bit, but he looked pretty shoe-in to end up in that third place, and at a pivotal point of the season, it must be disappointing for him. It really must be. So Webson's looking pretty strong here in P4. P4 is still... Oh, and Stefan looks like he might have got the move done on Legion. Just saw those positions change. Stefan getting up on Legion with a lap and a half to go. Legion now having to follow from behind, coming up to the downhill zone. Now, what we saw last stint is Legion really losing a lot of ground and pace to Stefan at the back end when the tyres start coming in. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing now. Legion trying to hold it and trying to hold his position, and Stefan ultimately with the much better tyre wear, much better grip, just able to get that move done eventually. And now it's just impetus on Stefan to try and get himself what would be a really good result to see him go and win this. Again, not a knock on Legion, but I've seen Legion win a lot of races. Nice to see someone else win for a change. Kenobi now is, like I said, caught up to DJ. DJ is going to have to do some real defensive work to hold on to it, but I think it's going to struggle to, especially with like the lap and a half that's remaining. It looks like Kenobi's already got that move done. So now my priority with DJ, maybe try and use a little bit of slip, see if you can have another go in return, but if not, just try and do your comfortable thing. Look at the fact you've got Rabid now behind you. Rabid, we know, he's got the pace, but again, last lap or two, it doesn't come about who's faster and slowest. You defend your position, try and hold it, you know, which there's argument to be said doing that throughout the race, but I'd argue that you know, no point slowing yourself up for someone else to come and then beat you against someone who's ultimately is going to get past you at some point over a 10 lap period or so. So we're now into the final lap with Stefan looking like he's holding on to this P1 as Legion's dropping off now. And again, I think fuel wise he's undercut himself here, and he's looked like, if you look at the way he's shifting and stuff, he's really onto heavy fuel saving now. So I think fuel might have been the one to win this, possibly win this for Stefan. It'd be a great win for him to go out there. Zeno looking really comfortable in P3, don't think anything's going to be changing there. Webson's relatively comfortable P4 as well. Kenobi again relatively comfortable P5. We're probably going to like to think he can grind back a little bit of time on Webson's with the fresher car, fresher tyres, but you know, don't think that's going to be happening. The amount of races left, and in fact he is starting to fill the tyres and stuff now. Dorsey with Rabid sat up behind him. Rabid probably be keen to try and see if he can get past Dawes before the end of this lap, especially with Dawes carrying that pen, which he might grind down through inefficient braking. You know, some tracks have the flexibility to perhaps brake a little harder than he normally would, and it looks like DJ looks like he lost it at the back there, slammed himself into a wall, and well, certainly that's how it looked on my screen, but apparently there's a ghost car. I thought I saw someone crash. Apparently I've been commentating too long and my eyes have gone a bit funny, guys. But we are now coming up to the end of this race. Still a few little scraps yet to be decided, but everyone's looking pretty settled in their positions. Steedy's done really well actually to claw back a bit of space on some of the drivers. Enderer Lad looks like he's unfortunately went in a bit too hard, and now he's had to pit on his final lap, which is must be soul destroying for him. And we're going to stay on board with Stefan now. It looks like he's looking pretty good to finish off this race, P1, which congratulations to him. What a good result and good race that he ran, using the Porsche where it was strong to deny Legion 2 wins. Now Legion's coming down now. It looks like he's out of fuel actually, Legion. So is Zeno going to get past ultimately? The penalty gap's probably going to play a part, but it looks like Zeno's grinding it down now and has got himself P2. So Legion running out of fuel, crawls over the line at P3, and Zeno, after all that, you know, got his head down, plugged away at it, and got himself the same that he got in the first race. So Webson's Kenobi in there 4 and 5th, Dawes in 6th. So Kenobi doing really well on the 2-stop there to get to 5. I reckon he'll be pretty pleased with that. DJ and Bart's coming over the line now, and it looks like Rabid's gone back even further now. So, it looks like he's run out of fuel actually. So another one of our boys pushing it a little bit too much in their fuel, probably just trying to claw himself back from What's probably quite a disappointing race for him, but he goes over in 9th position. I mean, we've just got Ash and Edinburgh Lad to go over the line as Ash comes over now. And remember, Edinburgh Lad was out on a run because he had to pit on his last lap. Looks like he, like we said, overcooked it a little bit on the fuel. So got Math out there. Obviously, he's not actually competitively going around the track. He's just parked off, checking out the scenery. So yeah, that was the race. I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll put this over into the results because there's only one result that can happen. This Edinburgh can nowhere other than 11th place. So let's go and have a look at the results at the end of the race. So at the end of the race, we can confirm Stefan got himself the race win, P1. Zeno got 2. Legion with running out of fuel at the end of there, dropped back to 3rd place. Webson's in 4th. Kenobi in 5th. Dorsey in 6th. DJ in 7th. Bart's in 8th. Rabbit in 9th. Ash in 10th. Edinburgh Lad in 11th. Steedy in 12th. Math in 13th. And Assassin Sablaza in 14th. So, yeah, not really hugely mixed, but I definitely think the strategies come and just shuffle the pack up. Certainly, and you know, we had a couple of guys run out of fuel there, a couple of guys go on the 2 stops, and it certainly definitely mixed up the pack a little bit. So yeah, it's now made for what is a little bit more spread apart for us going into the final race. So we should be going into round 4. It's actually going to be up tomorrow because this race actually took place last week because I took forever to make this video. But going up live tomorrow should be the final round, with Stefan going in as the leader by 6 points. So he's looking pretty strong to go on and take the first season, go and take the gold for the first season, which would be you know, awesome for him. Webson's not out of the race here, certainly not out of the race at all. If he gets a strong position, gets a strong couple of races in, and perhaps has Stefan at a disadvantage if he has a slip or in one of the races, so he should cause a bit of an upset, as is Rabbit as well. I know 10 position sounds like a lot, but over 2 races, and all it takes is one slip, one mistake, and everything's going to flip on its head. So it'll be interesting to see next week. Next week we're at Brands Hatch. I keep saying next week, it's actually tomorrow, but tomorrow we are going to be at Brands Hatch GP. It's going to be live on the ZFS YouTube channel, which if you're seeing this, you're already on it. If you're not subscribed already, just, you know, do all the stuff that people ask you on YouTube, subscribe, like, and all that kind of stuff, share it. That'd be great. But if you're interested in racing, obviously we've got our Discord link in the server. Anyone's free to join us to hop out there and have a few races with us. All we ask is people try and keep clean and don't be a chode. Those are our 2 rules, and if providing you fit inside those 2 little simple rules, it will be cool, yo. But yeah, that's it for this week. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with the final round coming in to tomorrow, where we'll be at Brands Hatch GP, and we'll see you all then. All right, cheers.